Hey y'all, welcome back. We're glad to have you. So for today's video, this was all Stan's idea. And so if y'all end up liking this video, then you can give it a thumbs up. And if you don't, then you can tell Stan in the comments below that he needs to leave the YouTube into me. So what we are going to do today is share with y'all some interesting facts. I mean, some of it's interesting, some of it I don't find it very interesting, but Stan did. So he's put together some ideas of fun facts that we can tell y'all about the Phelps family. Some of them are embarrassing, some of them are funny, and some of them are just interesting facts. So that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah, I have, since a lot of people that watch the YouTube channel are from the UK, you'll probably find it interesting to know that my niece actually lives in the UK. She lives in Wales. She is married to Dave, and they have 3 wonderful sons, and they've been living there since they've been married. One thing that people might find interesting about Emerson, she's our 16-year-old daughter, is that she wants to do an internship in Guatemala within Ministries for a year. She's worked very hard to become fluent in Spanish, and that's just where she wants to go for a year. Her heart's really with the people in Guatemala. We go there every year on mission trips, and that's also, if you've seen Maria in many of our videos, she's the exchange student that is living here in the United States right now. Her and Emerson are best friends, and that is actually where Maria is from.
Yeah, so we say that Emerson's definitely going to be our world traveler. I mean, who knows where life's going to take her, but that's what she wants to do right now. Another interesting fact that I don't know that we've ever mentioned on this channel before, maybe we did in another Q&A, but Stan used to be in the Army. I'm just joking. He was in the Marine Corps.
She likes to say I'm an ex-Marine. It's actually a former Marine. Now, I was in the Marine Corps Reserves between the time I got out of high school and when I actually started at the Sheriff's Office. I think another thing interesting, everybody knows that we have 4 biological children, but most people probably don't know that all 4 of them were had by Ashley through C-sections.
They were had by me.
Yeah, but I planted them.
They were had by Ashley. Yeah, they were had by me. I birthed them. He said I didn't have a real birth because I had C-sections.
I'm just doing that because I like to pick on her.
Yeah, so this is one of those facts I don't find very interesting, but Stan thinks it's interesting.
It is interesting.
So we'll share it.
How many women have had 4 C-sections?
Yeah, me. Now this tidbit of information I feel like is pretty interesting. And I'm going to let Stan tell you because it has to do with his name.
So while we were in the Philippines, one of the young ladies that had actually found Micaela there in the hotel, we made friends with her. Her name was Mickey. We've fallen in love with Mickey. She's wonderful. So when we met Mickey there, after we left the Philippines there in General Santos, we kept in contact with Mickey. And she had always told us that when she had her first child, if it was a little girl, she was going to name it after Miss Ashley. If it was a boy, she was going to name it after Mr. Stan. So she actually had her first child, and his middle name is Stanley. And after that, she actually asked us if we would be his godparents. So we actually have a godchild there in General Santos City.
And Stan's name is actually not Stanley, it's actually Stanifer.
It is. It's James Stanifer.
But we like Stanley.
I don't know where my parents got the name Stanifer from.
It's terrible. We're not carrying on that family name.
So in 2015, Ashley and I actually climbed a dormant volcano in the middle of the Caribbean.
That's right. It was in St. Lucia. Stan and I took a Southern Caribbean cruise. It was amazing. It was one of our most favorite vacations ever. But we did. We climbed one of the batons there in St. Lucia, and essentially we got on a speedboat and they dropped us off at the bottom, the very bottom
of a deserted beach.
And we met a young man who was our guide. He kind of like came out of the
jungle.
out of the jungle. and he was our guide taking us up to the very top. And a lot of people will enter, what do they enter at
A lot
the
of people,
midpoint?
yeah, enter at the midpoint, so it's not as much of a strenuous climb.
Yeah.
But we actually entered at sea level, and within 5 minutes, because of the canopy there of the rainforest,
Yeah.
and I mean, there was no oxygen, there was no breeze. It was a pretty rough climb.
Yeah, and we trained for it. I mean, I say we trained for it. We work out, and at that point, we just incorporated a lot of cardio into our workouts so that our cardio would be up to par, which I don't think it was really up to par, but we made it. But Stan has a lot of muscle, and I literally remember 5 minutes in, he had already sucked down all his water, and he sat down, and he was like, I can't do this. I cannot do
That
this.
was about halfway up.
Oh, it wasn't halfway up. It was a
halfway
few.
up.
No, it wasn't.
She's trying to make fun of me.
It was a few minutes up. Because I remember thinking, this is hard. And we were only a few minutes in. Anyways.
That's a lot of weight for me to carry, though. That's 240 pounds.
You should do something about that. Anyways, so we made it all the way up. Did it take us 2 hours to get up?
2 hours up, an hour and a half
Yeah.
down.
Going up was easier for me. I mean, it was hard. It was very hard. But going up was easier for me and very hard for him. Going down was much harder for me on my knees, and it was much easier for him. But it was definitely an accomplishment, and I don't ever want to do it again, but it's nice to say that we did do that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. The view from the top of the Gros Baton is what it was. It's a dormant volcano, and it was a beautiful view. I'd like to see the view again. I just don't want to climb it again.
Maybe we could start at that midpoint.
Maybe so.
While we're talking about extraneous activities that we have done before.
I'm the one that does the strenuous activity.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. A fun fact about myself is that I ran a full marathon, which I'm pretty proud of. It's one of those things, again, that...
It's impressive.
It's impressive, I feel like, because I'm not athletic. But I started running with a group of friends. Probably Grayson was like 1. He's 13 now. So about 12 years ago, I started running. Anyways, my friend came down from Nashville, and she met me, and we ran the marathon together. I think we finished in 2.5 hours, which I was really pleased with that time. And I think I came home and I slept for 2 or 3 days.
First she showered because she stunk.
I really stunk. It was bad. But I really remember I slept for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, she did. She slept a
My
lot.
toenails fell off months later, and I've really not ran much since. So
I think something that people would really think was interesting or weird, one of the two, is Ashley and I are still best friends with her high school boyfriend. He and his wife Jennifer, they're great friends of ours. They've moved away now, live in actually South Carolina.
Well, we didn't become really good friends again until I started running. Like I was talking about a while ago, Brandon's wife Jennifer is a runner, and I started running with their group, and they have kids, our kids' ages, and I don't know, our just whole little running group had birthday parties together, crawfish bowls together, and we just became the best of friends. And then over the past few years, yeah, we've really done a lot together, and they're adopting a little girl, and maybe we could insert a picture right here.
Yeah.
Little Jency, they have completed the adoption process, but due to the COVID, they're stuck and they can't travel right now. As a lot of families, they've completed the process but can't travel. So our heart goes out to them, and hopefully they'll be able to travel within the next couple months or so to bring home their little girl. So yeah, it's interesting to say that my high school sweetheart and his wife and I and Stan are best friends, but
I think really what it is she just likes to keep him in her life.
yeah, that's it.
I think something that probably people would find funny, or a little crazy, one of the two, is we actually did not have sex, because we didn't have sex before we got married with each other, but we did not actually have sex on our honeymoon night. Why is that, Ashley?
I wish you wouldn't use that word. Let's just use the word consummate.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so I was just a little nervous. I was a lot nervous.
She was a lot nervous.
Stan and I waited until we got married to have sex
With each other.
And but yeah, so we had a big dance reception after our wedding, which was so much fun. We had plans to leave at 9 o'clock, and Stan was adamant that we left at that time because he had things on his agenda to get done that night. I was having fun dancing. But anyways, so we had 4 hours to travel, and just the adrenaline dump, I think the nerves, I was just anxious, and yeah, so we pretty much just fell asleep that night at the hotel, and he's never let me live it down. So I feel like you just turned, Stan's fixing to turn 48 in a couple days, and so I think it's pretty interesting that you've been in law enforcement for 26 years, and you're only 48 years old.
Yep.
And you've done a lot. Like, kind of tell them what your specialties are.
During that time, I started in patrol, and at that time I was on SWAT, and that was back in the 90s. I then ran a street crimes unit which dealt with drugs and prostitution. I then ran a highway interdiction team where we seized tens and tens of millions in drugs and cash. That was probably the funnest job I had in law enforcement because it was more like a game of hide and go seek. They'd hide stuff within tires, within floors, roofs, firewalls, gas tanks. And so every time you'd stop somebody and you do an interview and you realize, hey, this is a drug runner, you'd get to play hide and go seek. It's just fun. I enjoyed going to work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, speaking of your law enforcement career, I don't even know what year it was. It was years and years ago. Hurricane Katrina, when you went to New Orleans.
Yeah, we the team I ran back then. We actually during Hurricane Katrina, everybody knows that New Orleans, the city of New Orleans, was underwater. The levees had failed, and so we actually went down there with boats and conducted a rescue operation. I think we rescued right around 750 people.
I mean, in the course of your 26 years, you've gotten to serve on the security team for some big wigs, presidents, some country singers. Which presidents was it?
Former President Bill Clinton, when he came to town, I served on his security team. George Bush Sr., the elder, this was after he was president also, served on his security team when they came to town. And then recently served on the security team for President Trump when he was in town. And then also several times during NBC specials and different things like that when Tim McGraw and Faith Hill would come in town. The street crime unit that I was running would act as security for them.
So talking about your job, in the last 6 months or 8 months or so, Stan got to work security for President Trump. He actually came to a rally in our little old town, so it was kind of a big thing where whether you support Trump or not, it was a pretty big deal that the President of America was coming to our little town. So they allowed the friends and family of a lot of the cops, the local cops, to come and kind of look at President Trump's big limousine. And so we took our kids out there, and we actually have video here of little Isabel walking and prancing in front of President Trump's limo. And, like I said, whether you support Trump or not, don't leave us hateful comments below, but we just find it just amazing to know that, she spent 5.5 years in a communist country. And to see her walking in freedom and dancing and healthy and thriving and doing all of that in front of the President of America, in front of his vehicle, is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. So, remember where you said at the beginning some of these things would be embarrassing? Ashley actually sucked her thumb, not till 5 years old, not to 8 years old, but to 13 years old.
So I promised I would be real, I would be true on this YouTube channel, so there it is. I sucked my thumb when I was little. I would carry around my mom's little silk slip. I'm sure many of y'all know what I'm talking about. And I sucked my thumb relentlessly. And even up until I was 8, 10, and 12 years old, like at night, and I didn't go around sucking my thumb in broad daylight. Like a lot of people didn't even know I did it. But at night, I just could not break the habit of sucking my thumb at night. I finally did. I broke it. But I was just shy of being probably a teenager. I know I was like 11 or 12.
She was thinking, there's no way a man's going to marry me if I keep sucking my thumb. So
Yeah, clearly. Stan would have married me.
I'd have married her I'd have married her no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, so
I mean, she's way up here over me, and she's so out of my league. When she said she'd marry me, I was like, dude, I got to hold on.
Suck your thumb or not, I don't care.
I think this is also pretty funny, since we're talking about embarrassing things, is, Ashley's had 4 pregnancies, but the funny thing is, all 4 times where she found out she was pregnant. Where was that?
It was at the Walmart.
Bathroom.
Yeah. So,
That's kind of like redneckish.
It's very redneckish. But we live in the South, so what do you expect? But yeah, I mean, when you get that I'm sure many of you women know what I'm talking about. When you get that first inkling and that first thought of, oh my goodness, I actually could be pregnant. Like, I had to go to the store, and Walmart it is, and I couldn't wait till I got home. Plus, I needed to find out if I was pregnant or not before I said anything to Stan. Because I remember the first time I was a little anxious because I didn't take my birth control very well. So baby Addison came much sooner than we kind of had planned. But yeah, all 4 of my pregnancies I found out in the Walmart bathroom. And 2 or 3 of them, I had kids in tow with me. Like, I just peed on the stick, put it in a little baggie, went out to the van, loaded everyone up, and then I could see the results. I don't know if y'all know. Maybe y'all don't know. I don't know, because Stan is a talker, and he likes to lead conversation, which is good. But the only time, literally, that I've ever seen him sit back and let someone else lead the conversation completely, and he just sits there and listens very intently, is when, I won't cry. Dang, I told y'all I cry every video. Is when he would sit down and talk with my pawpaw, which is my mom's dad. He passed away a few years ago, but he was a former Marine. And Stan would love to sit and speak with him and tell him all about the experiences he had while serving his country.
Well, I remember he was a World War II Marine. He was a Pacific Marine. And he actually fought in places like Guadalcanal and Tarawa. And so, having been a Marine myself, when I first met Ashley's mom was telling me her father had fought in World War II in the Pacific, and so that was very intriguing to me. And I remember asking about it and her saying, well, he doesn't really talk about it a lot. But I remember the first time I was sitting there and he said, so son, you were a devil dog. And I said, yes sir. And he said, let me tell you a story. And I'm crying. But he was just an awesome man. That World War II generation were a different group of people. So I always loved to listen to his stories. And yeah, she's right. That's one of the few times that I would just shut up and listen, because it was just very intriguing to me and very interesting. I'm a lover of history to begin with, but to be able to talk with older people like that have lived through those hard things, it's pretty interesting.
And they speak of it how many years later, and it's just amazing
so clear
that their memory in every little detail is so just spot on. Okay, so this, again, it's one of those things that I don't find is like super very interesting, but I guess it's very interesting, especially this day and age.
It's becoming unusual today.
It's becoming unusual, is that my parents are still married. They've been married for 48 years, and your parents have been married for
59 years. 59
years. So I think we're very blessed to say that our parents are still married, and
they've been very good examples.
Yeah, very good examples. So that means we gotta tough it out.
I don't think I'm going to live long enough to be married to Ashley for 59 years.
Stan and I got married about 22 years ago. It'll be 22 years in October. And I do find this to be an interesting fact about us, that the pastor that married us actually married my mom and dad. And I believe he actually married my aunt and uncle as well. And so Pastor Bob, he's a precious man. Yeah, so he has known me my whole life. And I just think it's really interesting to know that he married, you know, my parents and then married us.
So there's something that probably a lot of people don't know about you, but actually, right before we were married, you had traveled to Houston to go to floral school.
Yeah. So right out of high school, I did go to college for one semester just to make sure that I wasn't missing the boat, but I knew that I just wanted to get married and have kids and be at home with them. But in between that time, I did decide to go to Houston and go to a floral school, and it was literally just a few weeks long. I don't even know, 3 or 4 weeks long, maybe?
I don't remember.
But anyways, I guess if I were to do anything, it would be on the creative side. So I thought maybe I would be interested in being like a florist or something like that. Obviously, I didn't, but I have done like flowers for a few weddings, and I like to do that kind of thing. But anyways.
She's very creative. I mean, she actually, when we first got married, she started designing kids' clothing, mainly for Emerson as a little girl.
Yeah.
But then people began to see her works because she had some brilliant stuff she had put together, and she would
sell it on eBay.
Yeah.
So my mom is a master seamstress. That is her career. And she taught me how to sew, and so I'm still very basic at my sewing, but I did make Emerson all the cute outfits and the matching hair bows, and I would offer them for sale whenever I felt like sewing, which was a lot.
And people will probably find it interesting too that Ashley has been homeschooling our kids for over 15 years now. But Addison has never stepped foot in a traditional school. I mean, he all the way through kindergarten through graduation, he's been homeschooled.
Yeah. So I foresee us continuing to homeschool all the way through for all the kids. You know, things may change, but I like having them home, and they like being home. Okay, y'all, I think that's all of it. So, I mean, I feel like that was good information, so I'm going to give you a thumbs up, and we'll let
Please give me a thumbs up.
We'll let them decide if they liked it or not.
Because she doesn't think I'm as creative as her.
I mean, you are on a lot of things, and I am on other things. That's how we balance each other out.
That is true.
Right? So, anyways, I appreciate y'all joining us. I guess we're going to sign off here. I'm getting hungry. We've been sitting here for a while chit-chatting. So, thank y'all for joining us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Click the little bell so you get notifications. And we will see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.